Go, Paulie.
Combat Coffee live from Bensonhurst in the basement. We're here at the Benny and Steve show on the podcast studio. I was just on the show on the podcast, the Benny and Steve show. It's a great Bensonhurst, Brooklyn podcast. Check it out. Now we're on live at Paulie TV. What's going on? We got all things boxing, all things Canelo. What's going on, Jimmy?
What's going on, Paulie? Let's just start from the Ugas Bell situation. What happened there?
I don't know, man. I mean, based on the comments, people were saying that the round was in fact 3 minutes. I don't know. Ronaldo, when the knockdown happened, said there was a minute left still. He confirmed there was a minute left. Honestly, I never went back and looked at it again, so I don't know. But based on a lot of the comments they're saying that it was in fact 3 minutes. So, I mean, I don't think all those people would be wrong. They might have been a more on point to it than me. But I didn't go back and look at it, so I don't know. But all I know is that there was a minute left on the clock. And then the bell rang after the second round knockdown or the third round knockdown.
Have you ever seen anything like that before?
Bro, I've actually seen it legitimately. I don't know if this was legitimate or not. I've seen that legitimately. I mean, I've heard of it. I've seen it. I mean, I remember in Turkey, Sinan Samil Sam, there was rumors, like there was stories where Ahmed Owner, his promoter, would ring the bell early whenever Sinan Samil Sam would get in trouble, you know? So, that was his heavyweight contender in the fights over there in Turkey. I don't know, man. This kind of stuff, I mean, has happened for sure. But I mean, on a major pay-per-view, I don't know. But again, I don't confirm it from me because I didn't go back and look at it. So I don't know if it stayed, if it was in fact a minute short or if the clock was just off.
Let's look at that Ugas fight for a sec. Barrios beats him. What does that mean for Gervonta's win over Barrios? Does it kind of age better?
Yeah, it looks better. I mean, I think Bob Santos did a good job with Barrios. He used a jab much better than I've seen him use it in the past. I think there was no excuse for Barrios not having a versatile jab in the past. I mean, the height he's got, the physical composition he has. I mean, he should be using a jab, a varied jab, a consistent jab, a good jab. And Bob Santos had that working very, very well on Saturday night. Don't get me wrong. I think Ugas is kind of shot. He looked it. He didn't look the same. The eye also swells up much more easily after the Errol Spence fight. He's 37 years old. But nonetheless, it's a good win. It's a solid win. And for Barrios, who really didn't have any name victories, this was much needed. I mean, he was just a guy who got brought in as an opponent for two pay-per-view guys and, was relatively competitive against Gervonta a little bit. But then, I mean, he still needed to prove himself at this level. And at least getting this win against Ugas, no matter what kind of version of Ugas it is, it's still a win that will put him in a bigger fight now.
I missed the fight right before Canelo. Was there anything there?
It was a controversial fight. I didn't think it was as controversial as people were saying. I thought Lubin's jab was sharp. I thought Ramos was pressing a lot, but I didn't think he was landing all that much. And I don't think he was all that consistent. One thing Ramos should have been doing was cutting off the ring. I think if Ramos would have cut off the ring, he would have done himself a lot more favors. He allowed Lubin to kind of sneak in some rounds. Some of the rounds ended up, they could be tossed up because Lubin's jab is so sharp, while Ramos was pressing and he wasn't landing as cleanly. But also Lubin didn't do himself any favors either by not being as consistent. He was just sharp shooting with jabs and whatnot, but he wasn't really throwing the combinations he needed to throw either. So I thought both guys left a little something on the table to make it controversial and basically leave the other team's fans with the ability to say, oh no, we should have won those rounds. And the other team's fans saying, no, we should have won those rounds. And that's basically how the fight was. I mean, I don't know. I thought one of the scorecards was a bit too wide though.
Okay. So the main event. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate it?
I think it was garbage main event. Jamel showed up for a check. I don't know, like if he was living in a different reality, like if he didn't realize how obvious it was in the fight. Like after the fight, the fact that he was calling out Crawford and making like he was proud of himself for going 12 rounds. I think he was living in a warped reality. I don't know if he felt what everybody else actually watched. Like it was, maybe he thought he disguised it well, that he didn't show up even to win the fight, but he didn't disguise it very well at all. It was blatantly obvious. So, after that, I mean, you're going to set yourself up for that criticism. He never tried to win the fight. He got from what I heard, he got 20 million racks. So it's a nice little paycheck. He probably didn't want to risk going to the hospital, risk getting hurt for that check. He didn't care if he took the L. He just went home. But, I mean, he all but nailed put the Crawford fight in the coffin at this point. I mean, I don't think anybody can give him the Crawford fight now. But they know he's liable to just show up for a check and not even try if it gets too tough. So I thought it was a disappointment. I thought it was very disappointing.
Does he keep his belts at 154 still?
I think he does. I think he's got 3 of the 4 belts. I think only WBO stripped him. So I think Tim Tszyu is going to fight Mendoza. Tim Tszyu will probably win that fight. Instead of getting Crawford because of this performance, he should now have to fight Tim Tszyu. And if he beats Tim Tszyu, then maybe he can get Crawford. But I don't think Jermell Charlo is hungry, and getting these 20 million racks is going to make him less hungry. I think if he fights Tim Tszyu knocks him out. I don't think it's the same going to be the same Jermell that we've seen. Jermell at his best was world class, but this is not a hungry fighter. This is not a guy who wants to fight. This is a guy who's looking to steal the bank, and he's looking for a free check. And I think he bit off too much on Saturday night. I don't think he disguised it enough. He could have at least tried a little bit more, and maybe people would have respected him even despite the defeat. Because at the end of the day, it is Canelo, and it's a respectable loss, but not when you go out like that.
Do you think Charlo beats Tim Tszyu if that ends up being an option?
No. I think Tim Tszyu beats Charlo at this point. I think Tim Tszyu beats him.
So he's out of the elite category for you, Charlo.
I mean, I don't think he's hungry enough. I think from a physical perspective, he could be still good. I just don't think he's hungry enough. And I don't think that you can hang at that level if you're not hungry against those kind of guys who are not only excellent fighters, but also hungry. I wouldn't pick Jermell Charlo to beat Tim Tszyu right now. Now, not being able to beat Tim Tszyu doesn't make you not world class. There's a lot of world class fighters who can't beat Tim Tszyu, but I think that he wouldn't beat Tim Tszyu right now.
Okay, let's get into some of our top YouTube comments. Mr. Carlton J. Smith says Amir Khan went harder at Canelo than Charlo did. What's your take on that?
He did. Amir Khan was willing to get knocked out to try to get the win. Amir Khan won more rounds than Charlo did, despite only lasting 5 or 6 rounds. And you know what? When you go for the win, you do put yourself at risk to get knocked out. And that's what ended up happening to Khan. But Khan went out like a man, and Khan put hands on Canelo and gave Canelo 1 or 2 worrying rounds. I don't think Canelo ever had to worry on Saturday night against Jermell Charlo. I mean, I think it was literally like a sparring session. It was, and Charlo tiptoed his way through the whole thing. I mean, it's actually a shame considering how talented Charlo is and the lack of effort that he gave.
B Rob 8204. People are going to disrespect Canelo and not appreciate this one because Charlo moved up in weight, but Canelo was still the smaller guy by a long shot. What's your take? I think
there's some truth to that. I think when this fight first got signed, there was complaints about the fact that Charlo was going to be too small. Canelo did look very good. I thought Canelo looked very good. But of course, you're going to leave the question mark in the air because you chose this kind of opponent who wasn't adept. And when it first got signed, people kind of were complaining about this for this reason, that they were scared this fight would turn out to be like this, right? So although he looked good, if there is criticism, it's also coming from the fact that he chose this kind of opponent. But I think there's also a lot to praise with Canelo, because considering the last 2 fights that he's had, this is a step in the right direction as far as looking better, looking more positive, looking more upbeat, looking more sharp. And even after the fight, basically confirming the fact that he loves boxing and he intends to give it his all going forward still. And hopefully that means he fights the winner of Benavidez and Andre, because that's what all that means for me. If you're really going for greatness, you're going to fight the winner of Benavidez and Andre now.
What's your early prediction on that?
I don't know, bro. It's a tricky one. I'll tell you, this is a very tough fight. It's a very tough fight. Andre has been a guy who's been avoided his whole career. He might be on the other side of his prime at this point, but I don't know how much on the other side of his prime he is, because he's still undefeated. Benavidez is very, very good. Obviously, he's been kind of the boogeyman. It's a good fight. That's going to be a very difficult one to predict for me.
So we put out a poll today to rank, or who put on the best performance against Canelo in his last 4 wins, not including Bivol, because that was a loss. Who did that for you? GGG, John Ryder, Plant, or Charlo? Not Charlo, obviously, but
I think all gave respectable performances except Charlo. Even Ryder, where the fight wasn't competitive, still, despite bleeding, put hands on Canelo, attacked him in attempted violent ways. Dude, Charlo was just trying to play patty cake, bro. Even when he was throwing punches, it was frustrating as a guy myself who knows how good Charlo can be to watch that. It really was. So Charlo's the least respectable performance. I'd say Plant gave a very good performance. Probably GGG, probably Golovkin, but I'd say Plant gave a very good performance as well.
Do you want to hear their results?
Yeah, what is it?
We got 3.7 thousand votes. It was 2% for Jamal. It was 17% for Ryder and 34% for Caleb, and then 47 for Triple G.
Yeah,
So
makes sense to me. Makes
overwhelmingly
sense to me.
Triple G because you
Yeah,
know you didn't get knocked down.
the 2% for Jamel must have been trolling.
I actually voted for Jamal just to mess with it. Okay, so where do both these guys go from here?
Where do they go from here? Well, Canelo
We just
hopefully
said
fights the
Canelo,
winner.
yeah.
Canelo hopefully fights the winner of Andre and Benavidez. And if you really want to make it really spicy and juice it up, you know what you do? You show up at Benavidez and Andre. You show up, you make it hot, you put the pressure on them. You get all the attention all fight week because you're that star. That's how you make it hot. That's how you build a fight. That's what you're supposed to do if you're Canelo. That's the next move for Canelo. Now, what is he gonna do? I don't know. But for me, that's the move to make.
I love it. I love it. What about for Charlo?
Charlo, you go back to 154. You stop demanding for Crawford because you're only making yourself look more ridiculous. You go attempt to get a good win. I'd say go try to get your belt back against Tim Tszyu. If you're able to win your belt back against Tim Tszyu, you deserve the Crawford fight. I think he wouldn't beat Tim Tszyu, but I think if in order to get the Crawford fight, he now has to put on some kind of spectacular win against a respectable opponent like a Tim Tszyu.
Is Crawford just saying he wants Canelo for the paycheck, or do you think he's hungry
I think he wants the paycheck, of course, but I think he wants a paycheck, of course, but I think Crawford's also a dog. Like Crawford,
Yeah.
Crawford would be willing to get himself knocked out in the process if he wouldn't be able to beat Canelo. You know, there's a lot to deal with their three-weight classes and jumping up and everything. Crawford's talented, but Crawford is also a pit bull, dude. I mean, Crawford would never show up just to survive. So I still don't want to see the fight because I'm not crazy about a three-weight class jump. But as far as character is concerned, I would be absolutely shocked if Crawford would ever show up against Canelo and just showed up to survive the way Charlo did.
Yeah, shit. I mean, I still love to see the fight, but I mean, everybody wants that payday. I went to Twitter.
No,
Everybody
you can't.
agreed with you.
You can't because it's guys like you, Jimmy, that prevent the fight from happening that's supposed to happen. Canelo versus the winner of Benavidez and Andre. Forget everything else. That's got to be the fight. Forget this Crawford sideshow shit that the YouTuber fans and the random casual fans want to see. We want the real fights.
All right. I want Benavidez too.
I don't want the Tyson Fury versus Ngannou brigade to ruin the
Canelo with David.
Fight,
I want to see that fight more than anybody. I'm just saying,
no,
like, I don't want to see.
I want to see Canelo versus the winner of David and Andre.
Okay, I'm with you too. I'm with you too because I actually want to see him get
challenged. Also
challenged.
earns it.
Yeah, no, I got you. I'm sometimes when you just read something, I guess I am a casual, but that's why we have you, Paulie. Right. That's why we have you.
That's all right.
I'm here as the leeway to the casuals, but this channel, they're not. So I'm pretty much the outlier. All right, let's move into one last thing. Where does this rank all time for you when guys just get the check and don't fight? Where have you seen that?
I don't know. I mean, there's been worse. There's definitely been worse. So you look at a lot of Mike Tyson fights, like Mike Tyson against Bruce Seldon. Bruce Seldon, that was embarrassing. You know, you sure he didn't even get hit, and he stopped. You know, Tyson against Clifford ATN. I mean, there's definitely been worse. At least Charlo respectably looked to cruise through 12 rounds, and you know it's harder to knock out a guy who's trying to survive, which Charlo was. So it was difficult for Canelo to knock him out. But it just made it more agonizing to watch that for 12 rounds and know he was never going to get out of first or second gear. And so it's basically a waste of $85 if you bought the pay-per-view.
Well, I hope to see Canelo against Benavidez too. I think that'll be his biggest test. So now I want to move in right before that. I don't know if you saw the Floyd clip at the presser where he was promoting he said he was the goat and had a good argument for it. Did you see the clip where he kind of jumped in front of the camera?
Mayweather said,
well, he said he is because the reporter said that he was one of the greatest of all time. And then Floyd jumped to the mic and explained like 10 reasons why he is the greatest of all time. And I just want to see if you saw it.
I think Floyd has an argument for that. And I think
he beat the most world champions.
Not only that, I mean, I think Floyd was the best fighter to know how to adjust against all styles. You know, I think, and And I think he made adjustments to all styles that he fought, and he figured out everything. He was like the high level IQ, and he performed it in the ring. And he was beating world champions when he was in his early 20s. I mean, he's not like these guys who are becoming pay-per-view stars fighting the guy who delivers my pizza. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy was fighting very difficult opponents from his early going, and then throughout his career. Just because every fight wasn't against a killer, I mean, every fight wasn't against world-class fighters. He absolutely was terrific, you know. And let's not pretend. Let's look back at the careers of Ray Leonard and Duran and everybody else. They also didn't fight super known guys every single fight either. Okay, so let's not judge Mayweather by a different standard than we're judging everybody else. If you're trying to say other guys were better, if you look at the records of those other guys, it's the same thing. You know, they're not every fight is against Godzilla or King Kong.
Yeah, so it's a valid argument. A lot of stuff happened in this break. Usyk versus Fury was announced. I don't know if
Usyk versus Fury. Tyson Fury delivers again. That's why you gotta love this guy. You just don't know what you're gonna get. He's like a box of chocolates. You never know what he's gonna give you.
You were convinced he was gonna retire. We have a full video on it.
Just when you're thinking, I did think he was gonna retire. But then you know what I said on Pro Box TV? If you go and check it out, you know what I said? I believe the fight's gonna happen. And then all of a sudden they said it's signed. So you know what? I changed my mind. And it's on video that I changed my mind.
Okay. Just like how you picked Bud as the your pound for pound one. But
I did pick Bud as a pound for pound before he
had Crawford winning the fight. But had a
it's called hedging your bets.
What's your early prediction on that? Is that 50-50?
Yeah, no, I think Fury beats him. I think it's 65-35 Fury.
65-35. Cool. Yeah. Are you even going to watch the Fury Ngannou fight? That apparently the date for Usyk and Fury is going to be announced.
Yeah, of course. I'll watch it. Come on. I mean, why you're not going to watch it? I'll watch it. Maybe I'll go to some bar and then hang around with some of the MMA buffoons.
Is that a 99
and watch it with them?
Is that a 99.5.9 fight? To 0.1?
Yeah.
Would you say? Would you say that?
It is. I mean, it's actually so guaranteed that Fury planning to announce the Usyk fight right afterwards inside the ring. So,
what was your most 50-50 fight you think?
My favorite fight?
No, your 50-50 fight. Your most 50-50 fight.
Me and Broner.
You and Broner.
Even though the odds makers had it 11-1 for Broner, I don't know, because they were guzzling too much load in their mouth, you know. So, but the fight was always going to be 50-50, and it turned out to be that way. I think it was a fun fight. It was a good fight, and it was a 50-50. I think, end of the day, people love that kind of thing going into a fight, and really, it makes it more fun. And it's always much better when you just don't know who's going to win. And boxing gives us too many fights where there's sort of sideshows where you kind of know who's going to win it, but you watch it anyway. We've gotten too used to that. When we got to stop doing that.
I forgot. Oh, we totally forgot to announce you're the alternate for the Fury Usyk. You're the alternate for Fury and Usyk. I guess we can announce it now, but
yeah, I'm the alternate. I'm going to be flying to the Middle East that whole month in training. I'm the alternate. I already weigh like 190 anyway, so I'm already just under the heavyweight limit. I'm gonna buff up a little more, maybe eat up a little more, and then go to the Middle East in early December and just get in decent shape, you know.
Or just stop in Italy and eat all the tiramisu you can.
Yeah, that's all. We'll figure it out.
We got one more thing, and then we're gonna look at a couple of sparring footages that people have sent in. Showtime's ending. How do you feel about that?
Showtime ending. You know what? It's a shame because Showtime has been a big part of boxing. And it's sort of sad for a certain generation of boxing fans like myself and people of my generation, but sort of a changing of the guard. Just like HBO moved on and boxing survives, Showtime's going to move on and boxing survives. I think when HBO and Showtime got into the boxing game and changed it from being on free network TV, people were also disappointed, but then they fell in love with HBO and Showtime. So I think the new method, although it'll be, people will be there'll be trepidation about it. People will continue to fall in love with the methods, and people will fall in love with the way they watch boxing in their generation. That'll continue. As far as from a personal standpoint, this thing was like a stock for me. I got in when it was on the rise, and I was a part of that rise. And then I managed to get out before it was dropping and dipping out. So looking back in hindsight, I could have never known this, because you never know exactly when to pick up a stock, when to drop a stock. But I timed this one like a stock. I got in it when it was going up, and I dropped it when it was going down. And that now because of that, I was able to get in with Pro Box TV on the ground floor, and I have a great gig with Pro Box TV. And Showtime is a stock that's going to tank. Boom! How you like me now?
And Paulie TV.
And Paulie TV, that's right. But Paulie TV,
it's gonna
Paulie
outlive.
TV is like a hobby. We're growing over here, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not messing around over here. We're growing.
Yeah.
We started out as a hobby. We're here. We're going live. We're talking. We're growing.
I mean, if that fight was better, we would have had more views, but that's just what happens in boxing.
Yeah. Plus, people don't like when I hate on Canelo.
But you weren't in this fight.
I wasn't, but they just assume I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the clip of you interviewing him for Blue Moon, and you should watch you should look at the comments on that. Have you seen it? Have you seen the comments for it?
No.
You gotta look at the comments for it.
I mean, man.
No,
I'm sure they're very what are they? What's the word? Frazzling? What is it? They're very I don't know. I forget the word, but I'm sure they're very positive.
What's in Spanish? I don't know.
I'm sure they're very endearing. One's in Spanish.
Two more things before the sparring footage. Ryan Garcia just announced he's fighting Oscar Duarte. Seems like comeback fight, after Tank. Do you see that?
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
what?
Do you care?
No, I don't. What's the next news?
Well, I was gonna ask you because there's all this drama about Oscar as a promoter now. Have you seen that? No,
I mean he's the promoter. What's the drama now?
Just like his relationship with the fighters, how he talks shit on them after they've left him. I was wondering what your relationship was like when he was your promoter.
I had a good relationship with Oscar. I had a good relationship when I was a Golden Boy. My time and when I was contracted a Golden Boy was positive. I won a world championship. I got no complaints. It was I got in there. They treated me like a stock. I got in there when it was when I was rebuilding after the Khan loss, and it took me all the way to a world championship. So they rose my stock. So I got no complaints.
All right. Well, yeah, I just want to get he's been getting a lot of heat in the press. I want to get firsthand take on it, and that's.
I mean, I feel like promoters are like outspoken in general today, right? Eddie Hearn does that. Bob Arum's like half losing it, but he's always a great quote. And Dana White's always in a quote machine as well at the UFC. So I mean, I feel like promoters being part of becoming quotable, or I feel like that's kind of the new age of the way things are done. So I mean, Oscar being in the media and the press, giving his comments about things. I mean, I think it's par for the course. I mean, what do people want? He's not the only one doing it.
Yeah, I think just the outside of the ring stuff during his career, maybe the partying and
what, the scandals?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, bro. I don't know. Everybody,
you've had your fair share.
I mean, bro, I don't know. I've had my own set of scandals, right? I mean, it's whatever. When you live a public life, sometimes they air your dirty laundry out there without you realizing it.
or press conferences.
Or press conferences, yeah.
Well, hopefully for these people that are emailing us, they can get there one day. Let's start with I'm gonna mess up this name. Unsal Dabrimas from the I don't know. He doesn't say where he's
today, Junior.
I don't know where he's from. I know he just has a crazy name. It's the Netherlands.
All right.
Let me share the screen. We're gonna get the clip going, and you see it. So this is just some pad work.
Okay. It's kind of cutting in and out, though, right? Let's see.
Is it?
He's a little bit on the front foot. I would say don't lean on the front foot too much. I'd say, yeah, I see he's leaning in a little. He's falling in a little bit with his right hand. And that goes back to falling in on the front foot. You don't want to see right there, too. You don't want to fall in too much on the front foot to where you kind of leave yourself hanging. You want to turn your hip and not let your head lead over your knee. See, that's the key thing about leaning. When you know you're leaning, when your head goes in front of your front knee. Your head should never go in front of your front knee when you're throwing punches. And you say, oh, how do I leverage myself then? Well, you leverage yourself by spinning your hips. You turn your hip into the punch, and that's how you keep a balance and yet put weight behind the shot. You see, every time he's throwing right now, he's kind of falling on his front foot, and he's got to pretty crafty guy holding the pads in front of him who's kind of giving him different defensive moves. So what you want to do there, instead of always trying to hit him and allowing him to get away from with all those defensive moves, you feint him out of position. You make him go into one of those defensive postures when you feint them, and now you're in a punch position because all you've done is feinted. And you haven't put yourself out of position by missing. And then once you feint him, you make him get in that position. Then you can actually attack him and hit him because now he's out of position himself, as opposed to you reaching and allowing him to get into that defensive rhythm and then putting you out of position. But the key thing, even when you're attacking, is not to fall in, and especially, and the key thing to not falling in is just focus on not letting your head go in front of your knee.
Sounds good. We got an Irish boxer. Hi Paulie, attaches spar video who recently turned pro, Matthew Tyndall Jr., who signed with Jane Byrne Promotions, attaches spar he had last year versus Ashton Silva, who signed to Jake Paul. Ashton is 11-0 with 10 KOs.
Yeah, I've commentated Silva's fight. Yeah, I've commentated Silva's fight.
Okay, cool. So let's see this.
Silva's a good prospect.
Sorry, guys. It's tough out here. Stop show. Here we go. You see it?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. What I like to do with southpaw is a lot of times I like to feint their lead hand out of the position by basically looking like I'm going with a feint jab to the sort of the side of their body, the lead side of their body, and a lot of times it makes a southpaw try to parry with his lead hand. And if it's with a feint, what they end up doing is parrying nothing, and then their lead hand has been dropped. And you can come over the top with a hook, followed by right hand, or even come over the top with a simple jab over the top as you circle to your own left. You see Silva, especially, he's one of those guys, he likes to hold his lead hand out there when he's in southpaw stance. So you can almost get that done that way. Now here the round ended. I didn't get to see a lot of what happened on the inside as the footage was too short. But here, right here, okay, at close range. Also, Silva gets in a squared position. When he's in a squared position like that, you don't want to smother yourself. So he was a little, the Irish kid was smothering himself a little bit there when Silva got in a squared up position. So you want to make sure you leave enough of that space to have the punching room. Also, this footage is coming in choppy, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's sorry.
So it's not coming in all in a smooth position.
Ooh, body shot.
Yeah.
Do you see any of it?
Yeah, I see it, but it's like choppy. You know?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's just over Zoom.
Listen, it's good. Hey, listen, it's good physical work. It's one of those where I can tell it's one of those works where you're trying to get the bragging rights in the gym. Both kids could fight there. I'd say just maybe from what I could see on the choppiness of the video, I'd say also keep his steps a little shorter. He's kind of all over the place with his movement. Keep those steps a little tighter, a little shorter, because if you keep those steps a little tighter, a little shorter, you're able to punch off of those steps. And remember, anything you do, you want to still be able to punch off of it. That's how it remains dangerous. No, even if you're giving head movement, if you're stepping, if you're feinting, all of that, you want to be able to punch right off of it. You don't have to, but you want to be able to be in a position where you can punch off of any of that. That way you remain dangerous and your opponent has to stay honest. If you're doing all of that, but your opponent realizes you can only punch off some of it and not off all of it, it doesn't intimidate him and it doesn't make him overthink, and he's honestly going to keep pressuring you. But if he's got to respect the fact that off of any of those things you're doing, head movement, feinting, stepping around, all that stuff, you can also punch on a dime off of it because your positioning is tight, then he's going to have to respect you a little bit more. So I'd say, from what I could tell on that video, make sure any of what you're doing, keep it a little tighter so that you're able to punch sharp off any of it.
All right. Well, October is looking all right. We got Zerda versus Smith this weekend. Small, but solid fight. Then after that, we got the Fury versus KSI fight, big in the UK.
Boom.
I don't know if you've heard about that. And then Jake Paul and Dylan Dennis. I mean, not Jake Paul, Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis.
If Dylan doesn't pull out.
If Dylan doesn't pull out.
Yeah, like his father should have. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm just that. No, we'll end it on that. That's perfect.
All right. No, hey man, give Tim Tszyu some love. Tim Tszyu versus Mendoza's in October as well.
Oh, that's in October too. Okay, and then we're finishing off with
Fury Ngannou,
and then Haney Progress in December, and Better Reeve Smith to open the year in January.
Now Benavidez Andre in November, dude. Come on.
Oh, I skipped. Oh, and Stevenson versus De Los Santos. So Shakur's fighting again. So we do have a good schedule. I'm just glossing over some people. I'm just too focused on Dennis.
We gotta wake you up, Jim.
No, and one more thing, guys. We got Paulie film coming out soon. We're gonna do The Fighter. We're gonna go over The Fighter. One of the best boxing movies of the last 20 years, I'd say, right? And the next movie we're gonna be voting on. I'm gonna put out a list, and you guys are gonna vote for which movie we should analyze boxing wise.
Sounds good. You know what's funny? We on Paulie TV, we're gonna be analyzing boxing movies. On Pro Box TV, you know what we're gonna start doing soon? We're gonna be analyzing classic fights. Me and Chris Algieri. We're gonna pick a classic fight a week, and we're gonna watch it, and we're gonna analyze it, so everybody can tune in for those as well. And we're gonna pick a different classic fight every week. And there's so many good ones that I'm actually looking forward to them, because some of them I haven't seen myself. You know.
I was gonna try to make a joke of which one. Oh, you're gonna watch Malignaggi Porter or Malignaggi?
Oh, come on, it's not a classic. Who wants to watch that again?
Malignaggi Garcia.
Come on, we're gonna watch. No, but I'm thinking things like, you know what I haven't seen that I hear is a great fight, but I haven't seen it, and I'm ashamed to say it. Norton versus Holmes. I kind of want to see that fight. You know, I heard it's a great fight. I've only seen highlights of it. I want to watch it in full. You know, things like that. You see, like, there's classic fights you know about, and there's classic fights which float under the radar, which you only hear about and you don't really watch. But I should have been watched that fight. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to go back. Give me a fight to go back and watch.
I just gave you one, bro. What do you want me to tell you? Holmes versus Norton.
I thought you said you didn't watch. Okay, home versus Norton.
We both gotta watch that. I gotta watch that fight.
Okay, cool. I'll come back and then I'll give you my thoughts after you do your pro boxing. I'll watch that.
Sounds good, bro. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Paul,
all right, guys. We didn't take any comments this time, so we'll see you later.